Perfect.
Okay, let's get it started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to KPU International's Spring 2025. Let's get ready for registration webinar. My name is Angel, and I am the Coordinator International Academic and Immigration Advising with KPU International Advising Team. I will be your facilitator for today. First, I would like to acknowledge that we at Kwantlen Polytechnic University respectfully acknowledge that we live, work, and study in a region that overlaps with the unceded traditional and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Kazi, Samiamu, Tsawwassen, Takai, and Kwikwelam, and with the lands of the Kwantlen First Nation, which gifted its name to this university. We thank them for having cared for the lands and waters since time immemorial. Honor their graciousness to the students who seek knowledge here. I would like to thank everyone for being here. Many of you are joining us from all over the world. We are excited to be part of your journey to the Canadian education and would like to let you know that we are here to support. Before we welcome our presenter for today's registration webinar, I would like to quickly go over a couple of housekeeping items. I am sure you have a lot of questions and inquiries for today, whether they are related to registration, admissions, and or generally life as an international student in Canada. Please pay close attention to our webinar as it covers lots of information and many of your questions will be answered. At the end of our session, we will open up the Q&A platform and you can leave your question in the Q&A box on the right side of the screen. A number of staff from KPU International will try to answer as many of your questions as they can. If it is a recurring question, they will publish the question and answer for all of you to see. Therefore, before posting your question in the Q&A box, make sure to review the questions that are already answered and shared publicly. Please remember, your questions may be answered in the presentation, so it is important that you watch it carefully first. As newly admitted students, you should receive the course recommendation email with the handouts from KPU International Department already. Please have a look at the handouts and hope you have an idea what course you would consider to take for your first semester. Secondly, I would like to let everyone know that we will be recording today's session and sharing the video with newly admitted students. Please keep an eye on an email communication to your KPU email account for later this week and to find the link to the video. Now we will turn the time over to the presenter of the day. Sarah is our International Student Advisor at KPU International with extensive experience in working with international students. Sarah, please feel free to start your presentation.
Thank you, Angel. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well and are excited to start your journey here at KPU. My name is Sarah. As Angel mentioned, I'm one of the International Student Advisors here at KPU. I will be going over a lot of key information today that is essential for you as a new student to be aware of. I encourage you to take notes as we go along and jot down any questions that you may have, which you will be able to ask at the end of the webinar. So some of the key topics that I will cover in this webinar are the role of the International Advising Unit, the process of course registration, the types of courses offered at KPU, and the importance of maintaining full-time status for the post-graduation work permit program. I will also briefly go over One.KPU and some of the academic and non-academic support services available to you as a KPU student. All right, so what is the role of International Advising Team? In a nutshell, we are here to provide support to international students in all academic and non-academic matters. Our goal is to create a welcoming and inclusive environment for you, where you may ask questions, seek guidance, and hopefully thrive at both an academic and personal level. So next, I'll introduce you to the people who make up the international advising team. We have 9 advisors at KPU. Five of them are based at the Surrey campus. This includes myself, Leah, Sanam, Oksana, and Manpreet. On the bottom is listed all the languages they're able to speak in addition to English. And in the Richmond campus, we have 4 advisors, Vicky, Hilary, Sungjo, and Juris. In addition to our international student advisors, we have our international advising manager, Kevin, our advising coordinator who just made the intro right now. Her name is Angel. We have our advising assistant, James, and our student assistant, Mia. As you may have noted, our team consists of people who are able to speak a variety of different languages. This includes Malay, Hindi, Punjabi, Urdu, Farsi, Mandarin, Korean, Vietnamese, and Russian. Okay. All right, so what do we do as an international advisor? So we offer both academic and non-academic support. Some examples of academic support are program explanation and course planning, progression or graduation check, academic standing, understanding GPAs, understanding KPU policies and procedures, prerequisite and co-requisite requirements, guidance on improving your academic performance, and Early Alert, which is a program that basically, if an instructor feels that you might need some kind of support, whether academic or non-academic, they will reach out to an advisor for us to reach out to you and to possibly have a discussion or conversation where we can find out what's going on and help you in areas where we're needed. Okay. As well as last but not least, university transfers. So if you're wanting to transfer courses from one institution to another, we can help you with that as well. In terms of non-academic support, we can assist students with immigration advising related to study permit, working eligibility, and the post-graduation work permit program. We can provide letters to support immigration applications, such as study permit extension, post-graduation work permit, temporary residence visa. And we can also help you connect with other service units as needed. So if you have any questions about co-op, for example, you can come to us and we can help you with that as well. And Learning Center, counseling services, all of these services, you can, if you need more information and how to connect with those services, you can always reach out to us for that. Of course, this is by no means the only topics that advisors can assist you with. If you have questions related to something that is not listed here, you're welcome to ask us as well. Okay. All right, so when to see an international advisor? So for all your academic related questions, regardless of your program and how many credits you have completed, you should always see an international advisor, okay? If you're enrolled in an ELST, ENGQ upgrading or TRACE program, so if you're a pathway student or in a TRACE program, you should also meet with an international student advisor. And the same applies to students in a certificate, diploma, or associate degree program, and those in their first or second year of a bachelor's program. So you should also meet with the international advisor. Okay. So if you fit any one of these categories, you should see an international student advisor for all your questions, whether academic or non-academic related. Okay. So moving on. All right, so apart from international student advisors, we also have degree advisors and we have post-bac and grad advisors. So if you're enrolled in a bachelor's program and once you've completed more than 45 credits in your program, you should see a degree advisor for any course planning or program progression related questions, okay? Again, for any immigration related questions, you should always see an international student advisor. And then we have degree advisors for Faculty of Business, Arts, Science, Health, and Design, okay? If you're in a post-baccalaureate or graduate diploma program, then you must meet with the post-bac or grad advisor for any academic or career-related questions. All right, so how do you meet with an advisor? Okay, so we offer appointments as well as I'll go over drop-ins as well. But first, let's talk about how to when to book an appointment with us. So there are two ways. First, a 30-minute appointment is recommended in cases where you may need to discuss something in detail, or you may have several questions. For instance, for course planning, program exploration, GPA calculations, and a graduation check, you're encouraged to book a 30-minute appointment for that. Second way to connect with us is through drop-ins. For drop-ins, you don't need to make an advanced booking for a time slot. Instead, you will arrive 15 minutes before the drop-ins start time to sign up, either in person or virtually, and you will wait in line for your name to be called. Okay. During drop-ins, as we may have several students waiting in the queue, the advisor is not able to spend more than 10-15 minutes. So just be mindful of that. Okay. So like I said, if you want to discuss something in detail, it's best to book a 30-minute appointment. Okay. Right. So, and we offer both in-person and online appointments, and as well as drop-ins. Okay, so you can find the schedule for drop-ins, how to join, as well as steps to book a 30-minute appointment in this link here. So kpu.ca/international/advising. If you go here, you'll be able to find our drop-in schedule and all the other details. All right, so now let's move on to registration. Okay, so it's important for you to understand that KPU has 3 academic terms per calendar year. The calendar year runs from September to August, and the terms are referred to as fall, spring, and summer. Okay, the fall term begins from September and is up until December. The spring term, which is the term most likely that you'll be starting, will be from January to April, and the summer term is from May to August. Okay, as you can see here, the course registration begins approximately one and a half months before the registration begins. This means registration for the spring 2025 term will start around mid-November. Okay, all right. So just a few important reminders to take note of. If you're currently waiting a decision on your study permit, it is important that you still go ahead and register for your classes. Okay, don't wait until you receive your study permit and then register, because classes do tend to get full. So if you wait, you might not be able to get your preferred courses. Okay, if your study permit application is approved, then that's great. You can submit a proof of that to us right away. If your study permit application is pending, then if it's pending up until the last day to drop deadline with no financial penalty, you're advised to drop all of your classes and apply for a deferral. Okay, you can apply for a deferral by emailing international@kpu.ca. Lastly, if your study permit is denied, you must also drop all your classes before the last day to drop deadline. In this scenario, you may request a refund of your confirmation deposit. The steps for requesting a deposit can be found in this link, kpu.ca/international/future-students/refunds. Okay, so yeah, make sure that you register for courses. If you don't get a decision on your study permit application before December 15, then you're advised to drop all your classes, okay, and apply for a deferral, or you can get a refund for your confirmation deposit if your study permit application got denied. Okay, so now we're just going to spend some time talking about the One.KPU platform. So the One.KPU platform is really useful, and you will be using this throughout your time at KPU. It basically allows you to access several apps through a single sign-on. The apps that are shown here are the ones that you probably used most frequently. And I encourage you to sign into your One.KPU and mark these apps as your favorite. If you hit the heart icon, you can mark it as your favorite app. Okay, I'll just briefly go over some of the most important apps. We don't have time to cover all of them, so I'll just go over the most important ones. So the university calendar, you should refer to this throughout your time when you're doing course planning. The university calendar provides curricular requirements for each program and serves as the official guide to KPU's academic programs. Okay, so you are encouraged to refer to this whenever planning your courses. Dates and deadlines, again, a really important app. It is here where you'll be able to find information regarding KPU holiday closures, first day of classes, the last day to drop from courses with 100% refund, the last day to withdraw from classes, and so forth. Okay, so I encourage you to review the dates and deadlines for each semester and mark them in your calendar. Okay. Next, we'll talk about course websites. It's also known as Moodle. Every instructor uses Moodle in different ways depending on his or her teaching style. Instructors may use Moodle to share course content, engage students with discussion forums, manage assignments and quizzes, and post grades. Okay, so once you register for a course, a few days before classes start, you should be able to view the course on your Moodle. If you are unable to view it, then you should inform your instructor. Okay. Next is the online self-service app. Another really important app. It allows you to check your tuition balance, any amount you owe, make a payment through your credit card. You can also get a personalized book list for the courses you are registered in. The list is usually available 2 weeks after you register for a course. Okay. You can also check your final grades here, as well as obtain a transcript, unofficial or official transcript. Okay. Next is My Action Plan. So the My Action Plan is also referred to as MAP, is another great tool that you can use to see how you're progressing in your program. It works best if you are declared in your program. If you're not declared, then you do have to use what's called the what if function, and then select your goal program to see the correct information. Okay, if you don't use the what if function and you're not declared, then MAP is not going to work properly for you. Okay, so lastly, the student email app. So all KPU students have a KPU email account. You will receive all university communications, including emails from instructors, advisors, and other important notices, such as those related to class registration and waitlist notification, which I'll talk about a bit later, in your KPU email account. Okay, so if you need to email anyone within KPU, please always use your KPU email account, and remember to include your student ID number as well. All right. Okay. So we're just going to go over some pre-registration steps before moving on to course demonstration, the course registration demo. The first thing is to make sure that you know your KPU login information. Okay, without this information, you cannot access the registration portal. So your user ID will be your KPU student email, and your default password will be your date of birth typed in the following format. Okay, so it has to be entered in this format: date, first 3 letters of the month, first letter capital, and then your year. If for any reason you don't know your password, you need to reset it, then you can look up the app Student SSPR on the One.KPU platform and follow the steps there to reset your password. Okay. Next is know your registration date and time. Okay, so you're only able to start registering for your classes after the given time ticket that's issued to you. Okay, so it's important to know what that time ticket is, and start registering for your classes as soon as that date and time starts. Okay. To find your registration date and time, you'll go to the One.KPU app, go to register for classes, and then click on prepare for registration. Okay. If you go to the kpu.ca/SCS website, they do have a step-by-step video on how to check your registration date and time. Okay, so I encourage you to watch that video if you are having trouble finding that information. Okay. All right, so the next is to clear action item. So what does that mean? So for new students, or actually any student who doesn't have a social insurance number yet, you will get this pop up when you try to register for your classes. It will say that you have an action item pending. You have to clear this action item in order to continue with the registration process. So if you don't have a SIN number, there is an option where you can select, I do not have a SIN at this time, and then you can go ahead and proceed with the course registration. Okay, again, there's a video on this as well that you can go and watch. I'm just going to quickly show you so you guys know what I'm talking about. So this is the kpu.ca/SCS website. I highly encourage you to check this out. They have a lot of useful videos here. Like I mentioned, they have a video on check your registration date and time. And then they have the video on action items, how to clear that. And they also have a lot of other videos about waitlisting, dropping or withdrawing from classes, browsing classes, adding how to pay and all of that. So yeah, if you are having difficulty with any of these, watch their videos and they're really helpful. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so the fourth item is reviewing the course recommendations. So Angel, initially, she did mention that you should have received an email with a list of courses that we recommend that you take in your first semester. So like as mentioned before, all new students are emailed this list. The courses are based on our recommendations. You are certainly allowed to take courses outside of these recommendations if you want to, but you should consult the university calendar to make sure that whatever courses you are deciding to take are part of, are included in your program. Okay. I do want to mention one thing, that sometimes in your course recommendation, you will find there are certain courses that we recommend that you may not see in the university calendar. And that's because in all programs, in almost all the programs, there is something called electives that you have to do. Electives are courses that students can freely select. They're just courses that you have the option, you have a choice, you can choose from a field outside the program that you're doing. And it's meant to encourage students to explore other areas of study. Okay, so there's a lot of flexibility with electives, so you have lots of options in terms of what courses you can take. So if you see a course in the course recommendation and you don't see it mentioned specifically in the university calendar, it's probably because we are recommending that as an elective option. Okay. All right. Also, yes, if you are a transfer student, so if you're a student who has transferred several courses to KPU from another institution, then the course recommendations may be different for you, okay, in which case you should meet with an advisor for course planning. Okay, next is consulting the university calendar. I already discussed this earlier. And then last but not least, pay the confirmation deposit. Now, this wouldn't apply to you as a new student, but in later semesters, you will be required to pay, or you need to ensure that you have a minimum balance of at least $2,200 in your KPU account. Students who don't have that amount will have a hold placed on there will hold placed on your account, and you won't be able to register for your courses the next semester. Okay, so this semester you'll be fine, but the semesters moving forward, just before registration for the next term starts, you need to ensure that you have a balance of at least $2,200 credit in your account. Okay. And obviously that amount will get used towards the courses that you registered for. Okay. All right, so we'll just we'll go over and do a quick registration demo to show you how you can register for your courses. So I'm just gonna go back to our test screen. Just bear with me. I hope this works. All right, so I'm just going to go to One.KPU actually to show you how to do this. So when you go to One.KPU, you will search for the app, register for classes. Okay, and then this is the app that you will need to click on. So once you click here, just going to go back, you'll click on register for classes and choose the appropriate terms. So for our purpose is spring 2025, and then click continue. Okay, so this is where you can search under subject. You can search for the courses that you want to take. Now, it's important to enter the course name and not the program that you are in when you're searching for your courses. For example, if you're in the Computer Information Systems program, you're not going to type Computer Information Systems. You will probably have to take information technology courses, so you'll type information technology, and then let's say that you want to take 11, and then we can hit search. There's an advanced search as well if you want to see whether classes offered on certain days, certain times. So you can do all of that. You can search according to those parameters as well. Okay, and then we're going to hit search. All right, so right now, for the spring 2025 term, they have 4 sections. So for each class that's offered, we call it a section. Okay, so there are 4 sections offered for 11. And so 1 section is offered in Richmond, and the remaining 3 are in the Surrey campus. As a KPU student, you have access to courses in any of the campuses. So you can register for courses in Surrey, Richmond, Langley, Cloverdale, although Cloverdale wouldn't have a lot of it mostly has trade programs, but yeah, if any course is offered in any one of those campuses, you are free to register for those. Okay, this is where I'll mention whether the course is in person, online, and so forth, and I'll go over the different instructional methods that KPU offers after we're done with the registration demo. And then here are the meeting times. Okay, so this is important. So this is where you can see what time your classes are, which days your classes are, as well as your final exam schedule. Okay, so if you look at this section here, the final exam is on April 16. Okay, from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. Whereas your classes are on Wednesdays from 4 to 6:50. Okay, so yeah, so final exam, and when you're registering for classes, it's important to make sure that the timings for your final exam and your classes don't overlap. If they do overlap, you will actually get an error. It's called a time conflict error, which I will discuss a bit in more detail later on. But yeah, you won't be able to take classes that have the overlapping timing or if the exams times are overlapping. Okay. This is where you can see how many seats are left in the course. So right now it says 35 with 35 seats remaining. That means there are no students who have registered in this course yet. And this is just it's not a real it's just a demo, so it's a testing environment. So it doesn't actually reflect the actual numbers. All right, so let's say we want to register for this course. Okay, so we're going to click on add. And then you'll see that it will pop the class that you chose will pop up here. Okay, right now it says pending. Okay, so you're not done. You do have to choose register. Make sure registered is selected, and then you'll have to click on submit. Okay, So once you click submit, if it's successful, hopefully it's successful. Okay. All right, so we got an error, okay? Generally, if you are in this program, it would, you should be successful, but I received this error. This is a great example. So we got an error, field of study restriction. What does that mean? So basically, this course is restricted for students who are in the Computer Information Systems program or the BTech, BTech of Technology program. Okay, so Bachelor's of IT in Technology. So if you're one of those programs, then you wouldn't receive this error. You would be able to register successfully. If you're not in those programs, then you would receive this error. Okay, I'll just do a different example. So let's do business 1315 and just show you. Just want to show you what it looks like if you are registered successfully. So yeah, so once you have registered successfully, it'll you'll see it'll say registered in green. That means you got into the course successfully. Okay. Now I just want to show you another example. So for science courses, a lot of the science courses have a lecture and a lab component. So it's important that you register for both. Okay, so if, for example, let's say you want to do biology 1100. Oops. 10. Oh. Yeah, so if you see here, their lab and it says class. So basically, this is the lecture component and this is the lab. So you have to register for both. If you don't, you will receive an error. Again, I can show you an example. So let's say that we just register for the lecture component and don't register for the lab. Once you submit, you will see we got an error. It says linked course register for both parts. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are registering for both the lecture and the lab component. So what you can do is if you click on view linked, and then you're gonna click on add all. Okay, oops. So it says we have a duplicate. That should oops, 1 second, guys. I think just refresh that. Let's just search again. So biology 1110. Okay, so we're just going to click on view linked. Okay, and then add all. So this will make sure that both the lecture and the lab component that are basically in together, it'll come up, and then you can just click register and submit. And that should be successful. See, so we got into both of them now. Okay, so make sure that for any science course that goes for chemistry, physics, sometimes some geography courses, I think they have a lab, I'm not sure actually. But yeah, most science courses will have that. So you should make sure that you register for both. Another example I just want to show you. So let's say we want to take math 11, 12. So for a lot of math courses, as well as some of our science courses, they do have grade 12 math requirements, and I'll talk about this as well a bit later. If you don't have that, then you will get a prerequisite error. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of show you what I mean. So let's say we try to register for this. And yeah, so see, it says prerequisite co-requisites are unmet, and we got another time conflict error as well. So remember I talked about the time conflict error. So that means probably that our math 11, 12 class, the timing or the final exam is clashing with our either biology 1110 or business 1215. Actually, it says 16550, so I think this one is clashing with. Okay, so it tells you the CRN number. The prerequisite, co-requisite, this is for some of the courses, you know, there are certain requirements that you have to meet before you can take the course. So for this specific course, you have to have grade 12 math completed. If you don't, then that's why we're getting this error. But prerequisite, co-requisite, you could get that error for other classes as well, where there are certain courses you have to have completed prior to taking. So for example, you might want to take a second-year course for which a first-year course has to be completed. If you haven't completed that, then you would get that error. I will go over all of these errors in a little bit more detail. But I think that's all the examples I wanted to cover. So we'll go back to our registration, our PowerPoint. All right, so like I mentioned, so the registration errors, so these are some of the most common errors that you might get. So one is, say closed waitlist. So this basically means that the section that you're trying to enroll in is full, but you have the option of waitlisting for the course. Okay, I'm not able to show that in the registration demo because in order for me to show you that, the course has to be full, which they're not right now. But it will be the same, like instead of selecting register, you would choose waitlist. Okay. Once you're on the wait list, it's important that you check your KPU email account multiple times every day to see if you have been offered a seat. Okay, if you receive an email for a seat offer, you will need to log in to your registration portal again and register for the course. Okay, so it's not going to happen automatically, and you will only have 24 hours to register for the course from the time that you receive the email. Okay, so it's important that you check your email regularly. If you miss the notification email or fail to take the seat within 24 hours, the seat will be given to the student who's next on the wait list. Okay. Okay, so another error that you may encounter, and we talked about this, is the prerequisite co-requisite error. So as I mentioned, a prerequisite course is a course that you must have completed successfully prior to registering in a given course. Okay, a co-requisite, on the other hand, can be taken at the same time as the other course, or it can be taken before the other course. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If not, again, you can ask us in the question, or you can reach out to an advisor. All right. And both prerequisite and co-requisite courses, they must be completed with a minimum grade of C. Okay, or unless otherwise stated. So sometimes it can be more than a C grade as well. So if you don't have these requirements met, you will get the prerequisite, co-requisite unmet error, as we saw in our demo. Okay, so next, time conflict error. We already talked about this, so I'm not going to talk about this again. Linked course required. So again, we saw this when we tried to register for our Biology 1110 course, and I just registered for the lecture component. I didn't register for the lab component, and we saw that error, right? So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this because I think I already went over this one. All right, so reserves and restrictions. So you can also receive reserve and restriction error when attempting to register for courses, as we saw in one of our examples, right? I think it was the Info 1111 course that we're trying to register for. This happens because some sections for a particular course are reserved for a specific group of students. For example, there may be a business course with 7 classes open, right? But out of those 7, 3 might be reserved for students who are doing BBA in accounting, for example. Or it may be that all of the classes have at least 10 seats in each of the classes is specifically reserved for students who are in a particular program. If a section has reserves, this will be displayed in the column reserved seats. Okay, so if there are any seats that are reserved for any group of students, you will see this information in the registration portal. Okay, restrictions. On the other hand, they're permanent. Okay, so reserves can be lifted, okay, after a certain date. I think most reserves are removed after about 3 weeks after the start of registration, and then those seats become available for all students who are eligible to register for the course, okay. Restrictions, that doesn't happen. If a course has a restriction, it won't be removed, okay. And restrictions are placed on certain courses that are meant for students in a specific program. So for example, as we saw for the info course, it's only those courses are restricted for students who are in the BTech program or Computer Information Systems diploma program. So students outside that program would not be able to take that course, okay? And you can find a list of all the class sections that are coded as reserved or restricted on the kpu.ca/registration website. I'll just quickly show you, because I think this is also another really important or useful website to bookmark. So this is kpu.ca/registration. And they also have a lot of really helpful tips in terms of what you need to do before you register, during your registration, and after your registration. So please take some time exploring this website as well. And as I mentioned, you can find the reserves and restrictions information here. So if we go here, they haven't posted for the spring term yet. They will be posting it probably in one or 2 weeks, I believe. But we can see the fall 2024 reserves. If you click on reserve seat information, it shows all the sections that have seats reserved for a particular group of students, okay? And the same goes for the restriction information if we click. So all of these sections are restricted to students in particular programs. All right, so let's go back. All right, so I think I briefly mentioned about the, grade 12 math requirements. So at KPU, as well as across many other Canadian institutions, all science programs have university level math, math, physics, chemistry, and biology courses that students need to take in order to graduate, okay? With the exception of biology, grade 12 math with a minimum grade of C is a prerequisite requirement for all university level science courses, okay? So what does that mean? It means that if you didn't complete grade 12 math with a minimum C grade, and you try to register for any undergraduate chemistry, physics, or mathematics course, you will see a prereq, correct, unmet error, okay? In addition to science programs, diploma in business administration and Associate of Arts degree in economics also have one or more courses that have grade 12 as a prerequisite requirement, okay? So if you're a student who is in any one of these programs and you don't have grade 12 math, then you're advised to take courses that don't have grade 12 math as a prerequisite in your first semester, okay? So in your course recommendations, you will see a column where it says you have grade 12 math, and then it said there's a column where it says I don't have grade 12 math, so you should be taking the courses under that column, okay? And in order to fulfill this prerequisite requirement, you may need to either take math qualifying courses. I'll talk about what math qualifying courses are a bit later, or you can write the math placement test, which is what we usually recommend for students to do. So the math placement test is basically a test to see what level of math you're at, and depending on the scores that you get in that test, we can recommend what steps to take further, okay? So it might be that you can just, if you score really, really high, you might be able to take the undergraduate science courses that have math as a prerequisite right away. If your scores are low, you might have to do additional courses, either lower level math courses or qualifying courses, before you're able to take the other courses that have math as a prereq. Again, you're encouraged to see an advisor if you are unsure and you don't have grade 12 math. You can see an advisor, and we can explain this in more detail to you. Okay, all right. So, okay, so we're just going to talk about the types of courses that KPU offers. So the first one is full-time courses. This is the most common type of course offered. The classes run for the entire term. They start from, so for example, for the summer term, classes will start beginning of May and end in August. For the spring term, it would be from January to April, okay? Intersession courses, these are not always offered. I know a lot of students like to take these kind of courses, but unfortunately, they're not always offered. And if they are, then there are not that many sections offered for it. So these are a little bit more intense, I would say, because the material that would be covered in 4 months is covered in about 1.5 months. So the course itself is about, I guess, 1.5 months long. Okay, so and you are expected to have more classes per week as opposed to full-time courses where you might have 1 class per week. For intersession, you might have 2 or 3 classes per week. Okay. What else? Yeah, so there are usually 2 sessions offered in 1 semester. It's called session 1 and session 2. So for spring term, for example, session 1 will be from probably January to around mid-February, and then session 2 would be from March to mid-April, something like that. It's important to note that the deadline to add and drop classes without penalty for intersession courses is different from full-time classes. So again, if you are taking those courses, make sure you check the dates and deadlines page for the exact deadlines. Okay. Next is qualifying. So qualifying courses, you can consider them as high school level courses. Okay, they're meant to upgrade your knowledge and proficiency in the subject area so that you may be able to take the undergraduate studies. Qualifying courses usually end with a Q, so it can be ENGQ, METQ, BioQ, so forth. Except for ELST courses, they're also considered qualifying, but they don't end with a Q. Okay. Except for ENGQ and ELST courses, qualifying courses tuitions are the same as undergraduate courses, and they don't count towards your undergraduate credits. Okay, so meaning you can't use them to fulfill any of your undergraduate program requirements. So, you know, if you're taking qualifying courses and you don't need to, then you know, you might be wasting your money there, right? But in the case of, as I mentioned, for students who don't meet the grade 12 math requirement for the science program, you may have to do math qualifying courses, okay, before you can take your science courses. But other than that, you know, if you're thinking of taking a qualifying course for any reason, check with an advisor whether you even need to do that, okay? Because every semester we have students who take these courses without realizing that it's not going to count towards their program. And then, you know, unfortunately, your tuition fee cannot be refunded at that point. Okay. All right, so let's talk about different course delivery modes that are offered at KPU. So obviously the most common class that is offered is in person. Most of the classes, I believe, that are offered in the spring term will be in-person classes. Obviously you have to be in person for both lecture, you know, your quizzes, presentations, exams. You have to be physically present in the class. Blended asynchronous. So for blended asynchronous classes, you have an in-person, you'll have some in-person classes along with an online component. The online component is not delivered at any specific time. So basically the instructor might upload some lectures online and they might do some lectures in person. The online ones you can view at your own time. You don't have to be online at a specific time. Blended synchronous, again, the instructor will have some in-person classes, and then the online course, the online lectures you would be required to be online at a specific time. Okay, for asynchronous, you don't have to be online at any specific time. You can view the lectures at your convenience. But for blended synchronous, you have to be logged in. For any online, maybe there's a discussions happening or a lecture, you would have, the instructor will give you let you know what time and date you would have to be present for that, okay? In terms of the final exam, it could either be online or in person, most likely in person, but again, the instructor would inform you of that. For online asynchronous, there are no scheduled meeting times. So that means the instructor will just upload materials and recorded lectures as you know in the Moodle, and then you can view it according to whenever you have time. For online asynchronous, it's you have to have really good discipline, because the instructor is just going to be uploading material, and then you have to manage your time and do all the coursework and listen to the lectures on your own time. So you have to make sure that you have really good self-discipline for that. Online synchronous are classes where the instructor and students are both online at the same time. So you're required to be connected to your Moodle or whatever it is, and you have to be online at the scheduled time, where the instructor would probably deliver the lecture online. Okay. And then again, exams may either be in person or online. Having said all of this, as an international student, you are recommended to take only in-person or blended courses, particularly in your first semester. Online courses are not for everybody, because you don't have that one-to-one interaction with your peers and instructors, and a lot of students do struggle with the content when it's online, delivered solely online, right? But apart from that, taking online courses, they can have an impact on the length of your post-graduation work permit, okay? During the time of COVID, IRCC made some flexibility where they allow students to take online courses, but now they have gone back to the initial policy where if you take online courses, that time can get deducted from your post-graduation work permit length. Okay, so we don't recommend students to take online courses. We only recommend that you take in-person or blended courses, because blended have an in-person component as well, in-person component, so it's considered like as if it's in-person. Okay, so if you have to take an online course, just check with an international advisor first to see whether it will be okay for you or not. Okay. All right, so we'll just kind of briefly talk about maintaining full-time status and how that impacts, how that's important for your post-graduation work permit eligibility. So I know we've already gone through a lot of information, but you probably want to pay extra attention here, because if you plan on applying for your PGWP upon completion of your studies, it's important to take note that one of the criteria to apply for a PGWP is that you must maintain full-time status throughout your studies, okay? Full-time means enrolled in at least 9 credits per term, okay? If you're enrolled in 9 credits and you end up withdrawing from a course in the middle of the semester, then you will be considered as a part-time student for that term, okay? So if you are planning on withdrawing any courses, then you should check with an international advisor to make sure that it won't impact your PGWP, okay? There are a couple of exceptions to this rule. For example, you can take what's called a KPU scheduled break. So KPU scheduled break policy allows students to take one term off or be part-time in one semester per calendar year, provided that you maintain full-time status before and after that break, okay? And another exception is taking an authorized leave. An authorized leave can be provided if you need to take a semester off that cannot qualify as a scheduled break. You must meet with an advisor to see whether you qualify for one or not. And an authorized leave is only approved under extenuating circumstances. You will need to provide supporting documents for approval. For instance, it could be for medical reasons, in which case we would need a doctor's note to verify that information. Okay. So yeah, really important to be full-time in all your semesters, apart from scheduled break, as I mentioned, or authorized leave. in your first semester, you shouldn't withdraw from any courses, especially if you are just taking 9 credits. If you're taking more than 9 credits, then there is the option of withdrawal. But definitely, if you have 9 credits, you should not withdraw. Okay. Yeah, for international students, sometimes we tell them it's better to fail a course actually than to withdraw, because if you withdraw, then you lose your eligibility for the post-graduation work permit program. All right, so okay, I hope you guys are still with me. So now I'm just going to briefly touch upon some support resources that you can access free of charge throughout your time at KPU. So we have the academic integrity tutorial at and the KPU 100 Intro to University course. Okay, both of these are highly recommended for you to complete prior to starting your studies at KPU. And if you scan the QR code, you can learn on how to enroll in these courses or tutorial. Okay, for the academic integrity tutorial, the reason we advise students to complete this is because every semester we meet with students who are charged with what's called academic integrity violation, simply because they failed to cite their references properly, or they didn't fully understand what classifies as plagiarism. And with AI now, ChatGPT, we're also seeing a lot of students depending on that for their assignments. Again, that can lead to an academic integrity violation. So whenever you want to use ChatGPT, you should consult with your instructor first, because every instructor has different criteria on whether they would be okay with you using that or not. So yeah, always check with your instructor first about that. As a student, it is your responsibility to understand what constitutes academic integrity violation, and to do everything to avoid it. Okay, if you're charged with an academic integrity violation, you can receive a 0 on your assignment, an F grade in the course, or even be suspended from KPU based on how serious the offense is. Okay, so it's really important that you understand what academic integrity means as defined by KPU and why it's important. Some common examples of academic misconduct and its consequences. You should understand that as well, and strategies to uphold academic integrity. Okay, so again, if you, I think some instructors actually require you to complete this tutorial for some points. I'm not sure, but I think some instructors do have this as part of their course. So it might be beneficial for you to just complete it prior to starting your studies at KPU. Okay. The KPU 100 Intro to University. So this is a non-credit free course that is recommended for new KPU students. Some of the things that are covered in the course are how to manage your time effectively, strategies for reading texts, taking notes, memorizing, how to communicate effectively online, how to work in groups and teams, how to improve your test-taking skills, and how to use KPU technology such as Moodle. So a lot of things that you will use throughout your studies at KPU. So if you do both of these courses, you'll be ahead of the game. So I really recommend. I don't think it should take you more than 30 minutes for each of these courses. So yeah, take the time to complete this. I highly recommend it. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so the Learning Center is another really important academic support resource. They provide a range of skills and strategies that encourage learning excellence and promote holistic development. Okay, you have the option to book a tutor, book an appointment with a learning strategist, attend one of their workshops, or get help with your writing assignments. Okay, so all of the TLC services, they're free of charge. I really recommend that you go to kpu.ca/TLC and spend some time navigating their webpage and accessing their resources during your time at KPU. Okay. All right, our international advising website also has a lot of resources to support our international students. You may access the resources by visiting the International Student Advising homepage, so kpu.ca/international/advising. We cover academic and non-academic topics. We cover immigration information. We have advising videos on popular topics. There's a graduation checklist, so when you're closer to graduating, you should go over that to make sure that you have everything covered before you graduate. We have steps on how to apply for a post-graduation work permit and lots more. So the idea is to support our international students from entering KPU as a freshman to until the end of their study as a graduate. Okay, so whenever you have questions, most likely you should be able to find answers to your questions on our website. Okay, so highly encourage you to visit our webpage as well. Okay. Okay, so next I will just go over some support services that you can benefit from on a personal level. So just quickly, I'm not going to go into too much detail. So the first is the International Peer Mentorship Program. This program is specifically designed to support first semester students. Every new student is connected with a peer mentor in their first semester. You'll probably receive an email from your peer mentor once the semester starts. If you're not sure who your peer mentor is, you can come and reach out to us, and we'll be happy to tell you more about that. So peer mentors are actually current KPU students. So these are students and you can reach out to them throughout your first semester. They can assist you in navigating through some of the personal challenges that you may be facing. You might be homesick. If you need someone to talk to, about being homesick, because these are, like I said, they're KPU students. So they might be able to relate to what you're going through. And they also have social events that they arrange, so you can attend those and meet other students and make friends that way as well, build connections. Okay, so if you're feeling lonely, which is a very common emotion to experience in your first semester, reach out to your peer mentor and they can help you connect with other students. Okay. Next is the TELUS Health Student Support app. If you're going through a difficult time in your life, perhaps you lost a family member, maybe you had a breakup with your partner, or you're just experiencing a high level of anxiety or depression, for whatever reason, you can reach out to the TELUS Health Student Support. So there's an app which you can download on your phone, and they will help you connect with a counselor who can provide you with professional advice, and they can guide you over the phone. And I believe they also have a live chat 24/7. Obviously, the conversations are kept confidential, and the service is, again, free of charge to all students. Okay, so KPU also has a counseling department, so you can also access KPU's counselors if you have concerns that are impacting your academics, maybe sleep, motivation, anything like that. You can reach out to a KPU counselor as well. And there are QR codes next to each of these support resources, so you can scan them to find more information, okay, and how to connect with each of them. Last but not least, we have the KPU Safe app. So through this app, you are able to contact security and emergency services. You can find out what to do in the event of an emergency, how to access first aid and counseling services. You can also view interactive campus maps. What I find is very useful is sometimes if you have a late night class, right, and you don't feel safe walking from the campus to maybe the bus stop or your car, where your car is parked, you can use this app to request for a security officer to escort you all the way to wherever you're wanting to go, to the bus stop or the parking lot. Okay, they can also, like, if you're having any car issues, like if your battery dies, something like that, you can also connect with them and they can help you with that. All right, So I think we are done with this. Next, we'll talk about health insurance. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. And I'm going over this because we do get a lot of new students who have many questions about health insurance. So just remember, as a new student, you are automatically enrolled in what's called the GuardMe insurance program. So there's no way for you to opt out for it unless and until you get enrolled in the BC MSP program. Okay, so as soon as you arrive in Canada, you must enroll in the BC MSP program. Okay, anyone who plans on residing in Canada for longer than 6 months, it is mandatory for them to enroll in this program. Okay, so there's no way out of it, even if you enroll, and there's a $75 fee per month that you have to pay for this program. And I know some students, they decide not to enroll in this just because the GuardMe is, it costs a little bit less than the MSP. But again, like I said, it's mandatory. You don't have an option. Okay, so you do have to enroll. Even if you end up enrolling later on, MSP can charge you from the time period that you became eligible to enroll in this program. Okay, so they can retroactively charge you for all those months that you were eligible but you didn't enroll. Okay, so yeah, as soon as you arrive in Canada, make sure that you sign up for this program. Okay, lastly, the KSA Extended Health and Dental Plan is also something that students are automatically enrolled in. Again, it's mandatory. You cannot opt out from it. The only one that you can opt out is from GuardMe, okay? And that's after you get your BC MSP. So once you're enrolled in BC MSP, you can opt out from GuardMe, so you don't have to pay for both, okay? So yeah, the KSA Health and Dental Plan is basically to supplement some of the things that are not covered under the BC MSP and GuardMe. For example, prescription drugs, vision care, and dental work. These things are not covered under your MSP plan. So you have the KSA Extended Health and Dental Plan to cover that. The cost is approximately $200 per year. Okay, so you're only charged annually, not monthly for this. Just make sure. So yeah, if you want more comprehensive overview for all of these health insurance plans, you can go to kpu.ca/international/insurance for more information. Also, like if you want to opt out from the GuardMe plan, it has information about that as well on this website. Also, you can contact the Student Life team. So they're the ones who kind of overlook the information for these plans. So you can reach, if you have any questions about any of these plans, you can reach out to the email address mentioned here, okay? Okay, so I think we're almost at the end of our presentation. So just a few quick reminders as you prepare to come to Canada. Obviously, remember to carry the following documents before you board your flight. So flight ticket, your passport, your port of entry letter, and visa if applicable, okay? And of course, your letter of acceptance, okay? So make sure that you have all these documents together in one file, because when you enter Canada, the border officer can ask you to present any one of those documents, or maybe all of them, okay? I've included a QR code for ISCC's pre-departure guide. I recommend that you check it out. It has really good tips and information for students who are embarking as an international student in Canada. If you have any questions related to traveling in Canada, we also have a team within KPU International to support you, and they can be reached at internationaltransitions@kpu.ca. Okay, so the email address is mentioned on this slide. Okay, yeah, so I'm just going to end the presentation on this page. So just different ways you can connect with us. I already went over, how you can book an appointment with us and drop-ins. You can also talk to somebody on the phone if you have any questions. They might not be able to answer your questions, all of your questions on the phone. They might direct you to other resources, but you can definitely get in touch on the phone. And then you can also send an email to us if you have any questions, okay? Obviously, allow us 3 to 5 business days to reply back to you, because we might get, we do get quite a few emails from our students, so just give us a few days to respond back. But yeah, so these are different ways you can connect with us. I think we are done with the presentation now, so we can actually start taking any questions that you might have. Angel?
Yes.
The Q&A is open?
Sarah. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much for such an informative presentation. It was a pleasure to have you with us. I hope everyone enjoyed the presentation. So I would like to remind everyone once again that we will be sharing the recording of this session later this week to make sure you can review the content prior to your registration. So now, since we have a few minutes before the scheduled end time, we will continue to respond to some of the questions that are posted. If you would like to stick around during that time, feel free to do so. Once again, if you have any questions that were not answered during today's webinar, please feel free to reach out to us, as Sarah already shared with you. Now, you can email us at internationalstudents@kpu.ca or book an appointment with one of our advisors through advisor to utilize the Q&A box at this moment.